Vikings, 10 major relationships, ranked most to least successful. While the show is focused more on fighting than loving, Vikings has been home to many romances. Which are the best and the worst of the series? The characters in History Channel's Vikings have a completely different set of values than contemporary people do. Above all, they were preoccupied with getting into Valhalla after they die, seeking glory in wars to be granted access to the heavenly feast. Only rarely did they pursue committed relationships. Instead, the romances in their world come and go. Vikings live fast and die young, which means that relationships form and collapse with rapid speed. Varyingly, such plot twists hurt or helped the show, but at least fans got to enjoy a wide variety of romances, which can be ranked from the best to the worst relationships in Vikings history. 10. Ragnar and Loggertha. Many have forgotten just how content and affectionate Ragnar and Loggertha were in the pilot episode. They still hold up as the best Viking couple. Their relationship was built on foundations of respect, passion, and great co-parenting skills. Unfortunately, Ragnar let the prophecy of many sons get to his head, which led him to cheat on Loggertha, although Ragnar has betrayed Loggertha many times before as well. Loggertha was a fierce shield maiden, but her husband didn't let her come west with him. Someone needed to stay behind to tend to the farm, but little did they know Ragnar will soon be far more than a farmer. The two went their separate ways, but continued to have a special relationship. Every time they encountered one another, sparks would be flying. 9. Rollo and Gisla. Rollo and Gisla's relationship was hilarious to watch at first. When the Emperor of Francia made a deal to marry Rollo to his daughter, the young princess wasn't exactly enchanted. But Rollo actually put some effort into the relationship, and they grew genuinely fond of each other. Rollo realized that she is a brave and ferocious woman, and she saw in return that Rollo is by no means as dumb as she thought the first time she met him. They were one of those Vikings couples that were absolutely perfect together. 8. Floki and Helga. Helga and Floki made for a great couples, because they were both introverts with an interest in gods, nature, and herbs. While everyone loved Floki for being a loyal husband, everyone hated him for killing Athelstan, an event that snowballed into his wife's death. Floki and Helga had a daughter together, but she died right about the same time that Floki was imprisoned for murder. Helga was stricken with grief, so she adopted, more like kidnapped, an orphan along the way to Wessex, but the 14-year-old girl stabbed her before committing suicide herself. What a dark end to an otherwise wholesome love story. 7. Bjorn and Torvi. Torvi was in an abusive relationship with Erlender when she started sleeping with Ragnar's firstborn son. While it could be argued that sleeping with a married woman is just one of many shameless things that Bjorn has ever done, their intimacy helped Torvi muster some confidence and kill Erlender. The couple went on to have 2 children together. The chemistry between them faded pretty fast, but they held no grudges against each other once they decided to part ways. Torvi then went on to be with Bjorn's brother, as if that's not at least a little bit weird. Unlike her initial union with Bjorn, Torvi's decision to hook up with didn't make a lot of sense. 6. Astrid and Loggertha. The passionate relationship between Astrid and Loggertha wasn't without great mistakes and betrayals, but they still cared for one another. Loggertha didn't introduce Astrid as her +1, but as a friend and a shield maiden. Astrid clearly wasn't too happy about it, but she was not completely honest with Loggertha either. Astrid glorified Lagertha's ex-husband. She talked about Ragnar and his sons every chance she got. She later on slept with Bjorn, probably just because of his bloodline. 5. Rollo and Siggy. Siggy was a shrewd woman who knew which men to pair up with in order to move ahead in life. With Rollo, she essentially decided to date a project. She saw a lot of potential in Rollo and helped him stop moping around and drinking. Once Rollo felt better, he went away raiding without really paying much attention to Siggy. She stayed behind in Kattegat and died rescuing Ragnar's children from drowning in the ice-cold sea. For Ragnar and Yidu. In that brief time window when Ragnar and Yidu were spending a lot of time together, Ragnar's mental state deteriorated further and further into madness. She was his slave, coming all the way from China. Even though there was never any love there were some moments of sincere sense of kinship and mutual understanding. All that doesn't really matter though, because Ragnar eventually murdered Yidu, because she refused to give him drugs. 3. Ragnar and Aslog. Ragnar and Aslog are the kind of a couple who realize they don't even like each other as soon as the honeymoon phase is over. All the mystique surrounding this clairvoyant beauty pulled Ragnar in like a magnet. She instantly got pregnant, and so gave Ragnar what the prophecy promised, a lot of sons. Aslog was a cold woman, bored to death in Kattegat. Ragnar didn't care about her complaining, that only pushed him further away from her. 2. Ub and Margreta. It's a real shame that Ragnar's most considerate son was the one who ended up with the most nightmarish wife. Margreta was Aslog's slave and a plaything for her sons. Ub then married the seemingly sweet and caring girl, who soon turned into a vindictive and ambitious snake. She was urging Ub to kill Lagertha, and even thought about killing Bjorn and Torvi's children, Halli and Asa. Ub was having none of it and drove Margreta nearly insane when he started sleeping with Torvi, who was also the mother of his nephews. She died in a knife attack in season 5. 1. Ivar and Freydis. Ivar and Freydis had the least successful relationship on Vikings, if viewers can even call whatever transpired between them a real relationship. Ivar decided to marry the brave slave girl, and after a lot of scheming on her part, she gives Ivar an heir, Baldur. The child was born handicapped, which led Ivar to let the child die. And this man is so twisted that wasn't even the worst thing he has ever done. By now, Freydis hated Ivar. She met her bitter end when her own husband strangled her to death.